Welcome to Sasquatch and Sourdough, the podcast where we embark on a journey into the depths of the unknown, weaving together threads of ancient scripture, tales of high strangeness, and the joys of nature. Whether you're a seeker of truth, a lover of the great outdoors, or simply hungry for a good story, Sasquatch and Sourdough invites you to join us on a journey of discovery, wonder, and deliciousness. So grab your backpack, sharpen your senses, and prepare to explore the sacred mysteries of our highly strange world like never before.
Welcome to Sasquatch and Sourdough. I am your host, Christina, and I am joined in the kitchen today with my beautiful best friend, Crystal.
Hello, everyone.
Hooray! It's summertime.
Summer.
Just about. The kids are almost out of school. All the summer stuff is happening. The pool is open.
Unofficial start.
It's like the unofficial start. I don't know why we have Memorial Day week. I mean, I know why we have Memorial Day weekend, but then after that, the kids go back to school.
Yeah.
Why do we do that to them?
I don't know. It's a stupid Maryland thing.
It's really dumb.
They don't do that in Pennsylvania.
Really?
All their kids are out. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They have Memorial Day weekend, and that's it. They don't go back.
Okay, I want to know that from you guys. Are you guys still in school? What's happening? Because the kids are done.
Yeah, we have 2 more weeks here in Maryland.
Yep. And the kids are just we're going to the pool after we record this. Everybody has summer brain. So today what we want to talk about is we want to do a summer episode. We want to talk about our favorite summertime things, some summertime memories, and then we have a fun Maryland sea monster named Chessie that we want to talk about. So one of the things that I remember from childhood of I knew it was summer when the Country Time Lemonade commercials would come on TV.
Yes, I remember that.
I absolutely loved them. I loved the granddad. Just the little old man
sitting in a rocking chair?
Sitting on the porch waiting for somebody to bring him some lemonade. And it was, I guess it probably wasn't the 80s at that time, but it was just powdered. Just powdered crap. It's just so not good for you.
In a plastic pitcher.
Yes. So last summer we bought some. My husband Rob bought. Well, intern Rob. Uh-oh. Now we know.
Uh-oh.
Now you know.
You slipped.
Uh-oh. The cat's out of the bag. Intern Rob is my husband. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Intern Rob bought a whole bunch of, I'm talking it was, I don't know how to talk about heights of containers, but it looked like it was
120 ounces.
4 gallons worth of powdered just cancer.
That's gross.
Of Country Time Lemonade.
Yeah.
So it totally, and so we still have some from last year.
Wow.
And it's just, that's what you would do. You would just
well,
scoop it out.
We're going to have to make a picture of that in a plastic pitcher and take it to the pool with us and serve it to all the children.
Yes. There's a plastic pitcher on my table right there. There it is.
Perfect.
From the dollar store.
Perfect.
Dollar store pitcher.
It's even got lemons on it.
I know.
Can you get more perfect than that?
I know. But so, okay, I have a conspiracy theory. And I want to see if anybody else kind of figured, put this together. You know, the Mandela Effect, right?
Yes.
We talked about that. If you guys don't know what that is, it's basically that, it's kind of like memory holding, I guess. Either we misremember or people, just kind of forget. The big thing is, Berenstain Bears being spelled differently.
Yeah.
Curious George, whether or not he had a tail, some, so stuff like that. So look it up, but basically.
And what was it? The cornucopia, and was that fruit of the loom?
Yes.
Yeah.
It had fruit. There was a cornucopia.
Yeah.
But then it's now. So it's did you guys change your branding and not tell us, or are we just memory holding and forgetting that we knew? I don't know. Whatever. So I have a new one, and that is so when I was thinking about the Country Time Lemonade commercial, I remembered it in my brain, and I was like, oh man, because I don't know, I loved it. It was the kids rolling the big, tires off the deck, and they're jumping into the river, and it's all this beautiful singing birds, and grandpa on the porch. And so then when I looked it up on YouTube to find, because my favorite part of it was when the kids slow motioned jumped off the pier on a tire. It was a tire swing into the river, and that wasn't. I couldn't find that in any in any Country Time lemonade commercial.
You searched far and wide for the tire swing commercial.
In the depths of YouTube. So, I don't know. Does anybody else... Am I just, like, a loser that just absolutely wanted to, like, live in the Country Time lemonade
live there.
Probably. So, anyway, that's, like, when I knew it was summertime. And so now we want to just jump in and talk about, like, our favorite summer things. So, speaking of drinks, Crystal had a cool... like
sun
classic,
tea.
Sun tea recipe.
It's just like a goofy little thing that we've been doing since we were children, because kids can do it. But it's cute. You get a mason jar with a lid, like a big one, and fill it up with lemons and whatever like citrus fruit you have on hand. You could do oranges. We like to put strawberries in them.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and you just put water in it and sit it out in the sun. And the sun, like, heats the water up and infuses the water with all of the fruit flavors.
Oh, nice.
It's really cute. And then, like, we'll put herbs and things in it, too. So, like, I guess you could put a tea bag in there. Most people probably put a tea bag in there. But, like, I like to use my own herbs for my garden. Mm-hmm. So we'll put, like, mint or lavender or even basil. Like, basil is
like
really
strawberries
good.
and basil.
Strawberries,
yes.
Yeah. And, watermelon, too. Watermelon's a good one with basil.
Oh,
And,
that's a good idea.
you can come up with so many different concoctions. But basically, you're brewing your own tea in the sun, using the heat from the sun to brew tea. Mm-hmm. It's really cute. And it's kind of like
cool.
a science experiment. The kids really get into it. And then it'll turn, like, all these pretty colors, depending on what kind of fruit you put in. So it'll be orange or pink or yellow. It's a fun thing to do.
See, we did that when we were growing up, but it was like Lipton tea
Yeah.
and lemons.
Yeah, so
and it
you're
just infused.
brewing tea in the sun using the heat. Yeah.
It's so cool. Summertime.
It's a fun thing.
And then so we were at the pool yesterday and we were trying to figure out like what are some things in Maryland that are like just essentially like Maryland like foods or you know kind of like kitschy things. And so definitely snowballs. I've never gone to like another state and been like, here's a snowball stand.
I've only been to one, and it was in New Orleans. They had snowballs. And we were shocked. We were like, how do you know what a snowball is?
Yeah, but was it like snowball stand?
It was just like a sign on the window that said, we have snowballs, you know?
That's crazy.
And they were like, it gets really hot here. And I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I guess if you're, because we actually have like, we have listeners from like Seattle, like California. It's pretty cool how like this little podcast is growing. But like, if you guys don't know, so snowballs are just basically shaved ice and like just sugary flavor.
Sugar water.
Yeah, basically.
Sugar syrup.
Sugary syrup with, you know, ice, shaved ice. But they're in like, so there's stands, like there's little stands, snowball stands, like throughout Maryland. I mean, I could think like where we are right now, I know where 4 snowball stands are.
Yes. And they're cute too. They'll be like little tiny houses that someone's grandpa just like
It's like a little hut.
Like a little hut, and it'll be decorated with like tiki torches.
Yeah.
And hula girls, grass skirts.
It's just so weird.
They're adorable.
But it's just fun because like you think about it, like we grew up with that, and then it's like you go somewhere else and you're like, what? But the thing is, like, so we actually, my family, like my mother, she had an aunt and she had a chicken farm in like we're like Eastern Shore people.
Yeah.
And like she had like her favorite memories are going down to her aunt's farm. I think it was in Easton.
Yeah.
And she had this beautiful house and just she had a chicken farm and she would, you know, she would have the chickens and then they would truck them to Baltimore City. And then she had like a produce like shop.
Do you know what's so funny? Eric's family, my husband, his grandparents had the same thing.
Isn't that cool?
Their chicken farm was in Catonsville.
Oh, wow.
And Alan would go, my husband's father, Alan, would go to his grandparents' house and he would help them with the chickens and take them to the north, the market downtown on North Avenue.
Oh,
North
yeah.
Avenue Market. It was one of the original ones where they still used refrigerators with blocks of ice.
Oh, wow.
Like an ice house, you
Yeah.
know, before like modern day refrigeration. And he remembers taking the chickens, cutting their heads off, plucking the feathers out, cutting the feet off. He did all of it.
My Nana did the same thing. And it's so funny because she, like, hated chicken.
Yeah.
Like, she...
Well, it makes sense if you have to handle them your
Right.
whole childhood.
She's, like, handling chicken.
Yeah, I'm never touching another chicken ever again.
And one of her, actually, so she had, like, favorite memories, too. See, this is what I love. This is, like, my favorite summertime memories because it reminds me of her.
Yeah.
Is she would... It was just, like, so different, like, that generation. I mean, so my Nana, like, when she died, she was 92. She was born in, like, 1920. So what she would do is they would take them to the Eastern Shore, like, as children, and they would go and, like, pick strawberries.
Aw.
And that was, like, part of her, like, little job.
Yeah.
And she remembers that. Like, that was her favorite, like, summertime memory. It was, like, going
And picking strawberries.
and picking strawberries. But what she would do is she would get green beans. And, you know, she would cook green beans and bacon. But she would she would just sit and, like, take a knife and, like, pare the ends off
Yeah.
of the green beans. I remember, like, I don't know, I guess it was just because it was such a intentional, like, quiet, like, but purposeful activity. Like, you know, she's just quietly sitting there doing that. And everything in our house was, like, so loud and bustly. But she would just, like, sit down with her bowl and, like, pare off the ends. And so when I do that, I
remember
like...
that too.
I remember, like, it's just, like, it's one of my favorite things because then I can just kind of be like, oh, yeah, that's right. Like, Nana used to do this. Like, it's just kind of, like, in your DNA, you know?
Yeah, my granny would just snap them with her fingers.
Yeah.
She always snapped the ends off. And I would, like, sit there and watch her and be, like, hypnotized. Granny with her bowl.
I know.
Snapping the little ends off and the way it would sound. It's just, like, you know.
Oh, I love that.
Granny hobbies. Snapping green beans.
And that's just what I want to do all day. Like, what did you do today? I just, like, prepared one meal. That's what I did all day today.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Nope, we're so far from that. Okay, so you actually had a cool camping spot that you wanted to talk about.
Yes. So everything, all of my camping spots that are my favorite are always in Maryland around water. I just love the waterways around Maryland. So my favorite is Point Lookout State Park. It's way down in the south. It's the southernmost tip of Maryland, and so on the one side is the Potomac River, and then on the other side is the Chesapeake Bay. And you're right at the peninsula where they meet. So it's a huge confluence of water. And it's just so beautiful when you drive all the way down to the point. First, you go through all the farms and all the fields and everything, and then you're in the forest. And then when you come out of the forest, it's just this wide open sky, and all you see on all sides of you is water. It's
cool.
just the most beautiful spot.
Yeah.
You can watch the sunset there, and it's gorgeous. Sunrise, gorgeous. But the park actually has some dark history. It was a prisoner of war camp during the Civil War. It was a Confederate soldier prisoner of war camp. And since it's so far removed from the general population and all the cities, it's really hard to get to. And like these modern day roads that we take to get there were dirt roads back then, and it was miserable trying to get there. They couldn't find anyone to man this fort, and it was like it was called I think it was called the Lincoln Fort actually. And they used it as like a strategic location to like stop people from coming in through the water to getting into like Maryland and Baltimore.
Oh yeah.
So they actually used I guess they were freed slaves that were on the Union side that were watching these Confederate soldiers in prison. And it was just a horrible thing that these poor men went through, because right on the other side of the Potomac River is Virginia. So
Yeah.
they would be sitting in Maryland in prison, and they're looking across the Potomac River, and that's freedom on the other side. That's like where they're from, Virginia.
Ugh.
And if you know anything about our waterways, we have a lot of bull sharks in the Chesapeake Bay. They live in brackish water very easily. And they swim all the way up the streams and the rivers. And the Potomac River's huge.
Yeah.
So there's been bull sharks caught in Point Lookout State Park before. So we go kayaking in there. And I always think about that when I'm in a kayak in that water. Like, oh, there's probably sharks all around me.
Ew, yeah.
It's really, really creepy. Because you don't think about that in like a river, you know? But the Chesapeake Bay is so huge. When you're looking at it, it looks like an ocean.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, you feel like you're on the ocean. But, and it's pretty salty water. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like brackish. Yeah, but anyway, it's a really great place to camp, especially if you love history. Mm-hmm. So it's a place to go for history. If you're a Civil War buff, I highly recommend it. And there is a haunted lighthouse at the very end of the point. So this lighthouse, I don't exactly know all the haunted history. We would have to look it up. Maybe that can be another episode.
Yeah.
But it's one of those places that people talk about all the time. Oh, and another fun tidbit is that, do you know the video game Fallout?
Yeah.
So they did a whole series in Point Lookout State Park for Fallout.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And like when I took my son there, my son's 22 yet now. When I took him there for the first time when he was young, he knew all about it. He was
crazy.
like, this place was in a video game. I was like, what? What are you talking about?
You're learning history.
He knew all about it before I did. I was
wow.
like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, Fallout's like super popular.
Now it's like a TV show. Mm-hmm. But anyway, this is just an awesome place. If you're in Maryland and you want to camp on the water, I highly, highly recommend Point Lookout State Park.
Yeah. Yeah, we camped there.
We did. We all went together. It's like a big friend group.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was, I remember, it was, oh, that's right. That place was spooky.
It's very spooky at night. You don't really, when you walk around at night, it's like, you feel like people are looking at you.
Yeah, it felt like so the campsite that we got, it was really, really hot. Mm-hmm. But the spot that we had, there was not a lot of like tree coverage, but there was a lot of like kind of, I guess just like
scrubby little bushes.
Yeah, but it was, what is it called? It was like tall, like kind of
the grasses.
Yeah, like bay grass. Mm-hmm. So I was sitting like in my tent, and I had the tent open, and it's like I could just see like all the bay grass, and I was trying to like go to sleep. No. And it felt, I don't know. I got this feeling that like stuff was like something was watching me.
Like moving through the grass?
Yeah. Because, I mean, it could have just been like I was falling asleep, but it was just, it was creepy.
We got some really wild pictures. The first time I took my family there was in the month of May, before the season really kicked off. Mm-hmm. So there wasn't really that many people there. And we were up really late, and we were like taking goofy pictures of each other, like jumping around the campsite. And there's all kinds of weird stuff in those pictures.
Really?
I'll have to show you. It's like, I mean, you're camping, so there's always going to be smoke. But, like, the way the smoke was, like, acting, it looked like it was moving in, like, a specific way.
Really?
And then there was, like, orbs and, like, weird flashes of light.
Yeah.
It was just, they're really strange pictures, you know? And it's something I feel like I couldn't recreate if I tried.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, that's weird.
So I don't know. I don't always believe in like spirit photography. Sometimes I'm very skeptical about it.
I'm very skeptical.
Very. But these pictures to me, I was like, oh, these are strange.
Yeah. The Victorian spiritualist movement completely ruined spirit photography for me.
I agree.
All the time.
But sometimes you do see a strange thing, like an anomaly or whatever.
Right. And you're like, wait a second.
Your brain starts going, oh, Civil War ghost? I don't know.
Right. Or like, how could I recreate that if I wanted to?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Crazy. All right, cool. So then I guess, since we're talking about weird waterways, there is, if you are from Maryland, you probably have heard about our own local sea monster, Chessie.
Chessie. He's a cutie.
Chessie. From the Chesapeake Bay.
So Chessie is supposed to be friendly and people-loving.
Aww.
He's a gentle giant.
He loves everybody.
Mm-hmm. He's never hurt a soul.
Nope. He's just a big, giant anaconda.
Yeah, so there's a lot of theories on what Chessie is. And we have a bunch of theories ourselves that we were coming up with when we were reading our little book.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So this is probably, I think, my last like recommendation for like summer, at least in this episode. But So there is a book called Chessie, A Cultural History of the Chesapeake Bay Sea Monster by Eric Cheesem. And it was funny because when we were doing research on this, we came across this book and I thought it was going to just be like, you know, kind of like, you know, Weird Maryland or the Weird US series where it's just kind of a bunch of silly picture, you know, it's not like in depth. This book is like really in depth. So if you're interested in this or you just kind of want a good summer read, like I highly recommend. This guy did a lot of research.
It's very interesting.
It's very, very interesting.
And it's a big book.
Yeah, and there's really good accounts of like just local history. Like he talks about Captain Chesapeake, which we grew up with. Like I loved Captain Chesapeake.
So Captain Chesapeake was a TV show for children that was aired here in Baltimore.
Oh, so good. He had he was like obviously a captain, like a ship's captain, and he would talk about the Chesapeake Bay, and he had like a puppet.
It's kind of like Baltimore's Mr. Rogers.
Yes.
And it was the same time period.
It was. It was.
In the 70s, 80s.
PBS.
Yeah, PBS.
Watching Captain Chesapeake. And then the Country Time Lemonade commercials. So clearly I just sat inside all summer.
Oh. You were one of those kids.
I was one of those kids.
Get outside. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Yeah, why? Why do we have to have those commercials?
Well, I mean, I think it's sad that we don't anymore because the kids don't go outside anymore.
I know. In the 80s and 90s, we had commercials to remind our parents to let us in.
Yeah, do you know where your children are?
It's summertime. Where are the kids?
Go outside and get your kids. And it was like Cyndi Lauper and like all these famous people.
Why?
I'm like, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children
it's
are?
It's like Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
She like wrestled Alien and she's going to remind you to bring in your children.
You better go get them.
Where are they? And what are you doing?
Yeah, that's sad. I was reading this meme or something and this kid was like, I can't imagine being a child in the 90s. What'd you all do all day without phones or tablets? And someone our age answered back, well, we sure didn't sit inside and stare at screens.
No.
We had to have a specific commercial reminding our parents to find us.
Exactly.
When it was late at night.
So when we were going, so that's funny because you say that. Because like when we were going through this, like all this history and like doing research for Chessie, like the stories that like keep coming up from the 70s, I feel like that's when, and actually in this book, he talks about that, like how in like the beginning of the 70s, that's when like all of this sort of phenomenon, I think really kind of started kicking up, you know, all the fringe kind of like weird stuff.
Yeah, you were saying that.
But like, I don't know, I actually wrote a note about this. Like, I feel like there was like a sense of adventure, like in the 70s. Like it just, I don't know, kind of just was different. You know, it was like right before any sort of like technological, like in the home, really. Like you didn't really, I don't know, have like a lot of TVs. No. It was just different.
And it was only like 3 commercials or something.
Right, yeah. Right. So you kind of had this like sense of adventure where it's like, I'm outside more. Like we were talking about that yesterday. Yeah. Like people, like if you just go outside and notice what people are doing, everybody is on their phone.
Everybody's staring at a device.
Right. So
nobody's looking at anything anymore.
If Chessie were like just, you know, flopping by in the river, you wouldn't see him. You wouldn't see the aliens coming down from the sky.
You wouldn't see Bigfoot running alongside the car.
Right, we were saying that. Like, nobody, do we even go out and look for things? Like, you know, we wouldn't see any of it because we're just, like, so attached to our phones. Right. All right, so speaking of the 70s, like, getting back to this Chessie book, he talks about, it was a project called the Enigma Project. And he says, the scenario was straight out of science fiction, but reality was unequipped to respond to it. Enter the Enigma Project. A Reisterstown, Maryland group established to chase down accounts of strange phenomenon in the mid-Atlantic, probe them, and hopefully find rational explanation for them. So basically, it's 2 engineers from Baltimore. So Michael Frizzell and Robert Lazara. And they founded the group in 1977. Along with several others who shared their interest, and they have a quote, and it says, "We all had scientific and technical backgrounds. And we could see that when certain controversial stories, scientifically fringe stories hit the media, generally these subjects were poo-pooed and not really given any degree of serious scientific attention. So that's kind of cool because now, like, fast forward to where we are and that's like all we're talking about.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
It's really, really cool.
So that was really rare in the 70s for people to even pay attention.
Right.
You know?
To question that. Like, I mean, that's just awesome.
Yeah.
So definitely buy this book. But Crystal, you had some accounts that you wanted to read.
I do.
Of Chessie.
So I have a couple of sightings here that I thought were interesting that I wanted to highlight. So I'm seeing that the first reported sighting was in 1846.
Oh, wow.
Very old. So in 1846, the first potential sighting of Chessie dates all the way back to when Captain Lawson reported seeing a strange creature in the water between the Delmarva Peninsula and modern-day Virginia Beach.
Oh, cool.
So Virginia is the other side of the Chesapeake Bay. If you look at a map of the Chesapeake Bay, you see that it's Maryland and Virginia. We kind of both encompass it, but I think Maryland tries to take ownership of the Chesapeake Bay because it's, it's ours. But if you're from Virginia, I'm not trying to, take Chesapeake Bay from you because you're on it too. Anyway. So,
no, but we definitely do have, like...
We take ownership of it.
I don't know. I don't hear, like, people... I mean, I don't really know many people from Virginia, but I don't hear many people being like, oh, Chesapeake Bay crap. Like, I don't know. Because all the, like... I feel like all the actual, like, water activities are more in Maryland. And then Virginia, I don't know. I could be very wrong, but I just feel like that's just...
Well, we have more of it.
more of it.
On our shores.
On our side.
On our side, yeah. And we have, like... the Point Lookout and everything. But, Maryland and Virginia, we're neighbors.
Yeah. They have all the FBI stuff.
It's all kind of the same when you're from either place. So anyway, so in 1934 was another sighting. That's another really old one. 2 perch fishermen claimed they saw a strange creature emerge from the bay, like trying to get air, I guess. And the creature reportedly had the body of a horse and a head the size of a football.
Oh, wow.
Another sighting in 1943, 2 fishermen again saw a 12-foot log floating in the water, about 75 feet away from their rowboat. The men thought nothing of it until the log got closer and raised its head out of the water. They claimed that the creature's head was the size of a football, again, and resembled a horse's head.
So that's like the same account.
Yeah.
Okay.
The men panicked, but before they could row to safety, Chessie dove back into the water and swam off, exposing the rest of its body. All told, the men estimated the creature was double the size they originally projected, around 24 feet long.
Oh my gosh.
In 1963, a helicopter pilot claimed to have seen Chessie while flying over the lower Bush River area. He wrote a letter, "I assure you that Chessie exists, or my eyes were deceiving me."
Oh. Very sternly written letter.
In 1982, this was the first footage of Chessie.
Okay.
And I think this is really funny. I'm going to go to the end here where it says, "In classic cryptozoology fashion, we have easily the least convincing, grainiest video I have ever seen to go off of."
Nice. See, Chessie doesn't want to be found either.
It's the same thing.
He just wants to be left alone.
But it says, prior to 1982, there were no photos, no videos of Chessie, just hearsay, and various credible people's accounts. On a clear night in 1982, Robert Frew, F-R-E-W, and his wife Karen were entertaining guests along the Chesapeake Bay. Around 7:30 p.m., Robert remembers saying, "Look at that thing floating over there. Was it a log? Again, a log." The 7-foot-long object was swimming against the tide and appeared to have been propelling itself toward a group of swimmers. The creature disappeared and reappeared moments later and was guesstimated to be about 40 feet long.
That's crazy.
Robert, a trained wildlife management expert, was unable to identify the creature he saw. "What we saw is not a run-of-the-mill animal. They watched in awe before realizing they should probably document this creature. They scrambled to get a camera, and that's where the grainiest, most awful video of Chessie.
And we couldn't find it.
We
so
couldn't.
we need these people to put that on YouTube. So
Yeah,
we
that
can
would be
document
great.
them.
If you guys are listening.
Yeah. But wait, so that was in the 80s?
That was 1982.
Oh, what?
Yep.
In 1982? Okay, so they must have been like super rich because who just has like a video camera? Like you didn't have a camcorder.
Well, that's another thing. If you're living on the Chesapeake Bay
Right.
and entertaining guests, you're rich.
Right.
You live in a
yeah,
huge
that's
house.
true. Okay, yeah, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
All right.
Those houses on the
Yeah.
Chesapeake Bay are phenomenal.
And Kent Island, like Kent Narrows.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah. That's
my
where
gosh,
it was.
yeah.
It was Kent. It was Kent Island.
Yeah,
Kent
okay.
Island is all rich
So
people.
never mind.
It's like yacht clubs.
They just got on their yacht and yeah. but that's the other thing too. Like you would be used to the waterway and seeing things, you know, whatever they
lived on
are.
it, yeah.
Right, exactly. So
They-
that's something
yeah.
that's like, wait a second, what is that?
It made the whole party stop and take notice.
Yeah.
Like, what's that gigantic thing swimming against the current?
That's crazy.
And like we talked about sharks earlier, but bull sharks don't get that big,
Right.
you know?
Exactly.
And you can tell the difference. I mean, it has a fin, and a shark looks like a shark.
Right.
Chessie looks like Chessie.
That's awesome.
The only thing there are a lot of possible explanations. Like we said earlier, there could be anaconda.
Yeah.
This one I really love. So, the theory goes back to the day when sailors used to keep snakes in the hulls of their ships to deal with the rat problem. Once these ships were abandoned and decayed in Baltimore Harbor, the snakes escaped into the city's sewer system and survived the winter in the warm pipes. And they have been reproducing ever since. That's a really cool idea because it goes back to like New York City sewer gators.
Oh yeah.
Do you know how like people used to buy alligators as pets and then, you know, they didn't know what to do with them once they got too big, so they just like set them loose and
Flush them down the toilet.
So it's the same idea as that, but you know, people are saying there's no way an anaconda could survive our winters because they're really cold. So, you know, there's this goofy little. Well,
yeah, but they're cold-blooded.
I know, but
How does that work?
I don't know.
I don't
mean,
know.
All anacondas are from like Amazon rainforest.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You
Maybe
know?
it's yeah. Never mind.
Yeah.
I clearly am not any sort of person that knows anything
And the
about
Amazon
snakes.
River is also fresh water.
Right.
It's not salt water.
No.
Like we were saying, the Chesapeake Bay is brackish salt water. So they couldn't survive here.
Yeah.
So that theory is out the door.
Yeah.
There's other theories, but that was just like my favorite one.
Who doesn't love a good sea monster story?
I love sea monsters. They're my favorite.
Well, there was like even just I was trying to find like a news. I just love the old like newspaper articles, and I didn't write it down, but there was one where they were saying, "Oh, it was a lake." So it wasn't Chessie, but they were saying that like they drained the lake and they saw like its footprints like on it. And it's like I don't know about that.
Well, there's sea monsters all over the place. There's not just Listen, the Loch Ness monster is like the cousin of
Yeah.
Chessie. You know, there's Nessie and then there's Chessie.
Right.
There's
Nessie and
also
Chessie.
one in Lake Champlain called Champ.
Yep. Champ.
So there's a bunch of sea monsters all over. And it makes you wonder, you know, there's got to be some kind of credibility. Oh, we have barking dogs.
Oh, it's summertime.
So, one of the other theories is that it's just a prehistoric animal that survived extinction. There's one in particular called a Basilosaurus,
Oh yeah.
and that would have had to survive an ice age 34 million years ago. And there would have to be breeding pairs. There wouldn't just be one.
Right. There couldn't just be one.
Unless he's like a time-traveling, I don't know.
Interdimensional, you
Yeah,
mean? Yeah.
there you go.
Okay.
Who knows?
I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe all these sea creatures are, like,
Amazing interdimensional.
yeah, or they're like immortal. I don't know.
Primordial sea creatures in the Chesapeake Bay. Oh, I love that. Poor Chessie. But no, seriously, I do. I really highly recommend this book. It's just like
It's a great book.
he really just did so much great research, and I'm really excited about finishing it. So definitely check that out. And yeah, have fun in the summer. And until next time, we don't even have a tagline.
We'll see you next time.
Until next week, bye.
Bye.
Together, we'll continue to seek the truth, to unravel the mysteries that lie just beyond our grasp. So as you bid farewell to this episode, remember, you are not alone. The wilderness is alive with secrets, waiting to be discovered by those brave enough to venture forth. We want to hear your stories. Email us at sasquatchandsourdough@gmail.com. Until next time, the truth is out there, God is with you, and everyone always ends up in the kitchen.